Assalamu alaikum girls. I am Miss Saima Khan and today we will take the second lecture about gases. I hope so that the previous lecture is clear to you girls and you don't have any doubt about that. I told you some of the things which are important. I hope so that you have marked all those things and you have learned them also. Learning doesn't mean that you should do the rote memory over there. Learning basically means that you should do practice of all those things, whatever we have done, or the things which are important. And for practice, it should be 2 or 3 times so that it becomes a part of your memory. So remember that whenever I talk about learning, it basically means that you should practice all those things. Now coming back to the lecture about the gases. If you remember in the previous lecture, we were just doing the gas laws and we have already done 2 laws. That was Charles' law and Boyle's law. Now we will start the next, which is Gale-Lussac law, or it is also known as absolute zero. They can ask you in exams that explain Gale-Lussac law or explain absolute zero. Basically it is an elaboration, or you can say that modification in the Charles law. Charles law is related to volume and temperature, but Gale-Lussac law states that volume of a gas increases or decreases by 1 by 273 of its original volume at 0 degrees centigrade by 1 degree rise or fall in the temperature. That means either the temperature will rise or will fall, but there should be a difference in 1 degree. And overall the volume will increase or decrease by how much? 1 by 273. Whatever its original volume would be over there, 1 by 273 part, there would be a change in the volume over there. Now the equation which is used by the Gale-Lussac is Vt is equal to V naught 1 plus T by 273. If you remember in the previous lecture too, we have used this equation, but over there we took all the positive values over there. Now we are going to take the negative values so that we should have an idea that is there any difference for the positive and the negative values or not. Let the volume of an ideal gas at 0 degrees be V naught centimeter cube. Now if we take the volume of an ideal gas at minus 1 degree centigrade, then this equation which is over there becomes equal to V naught minus V naught into 1 by 273. Why is it minus? In the equation you can see up over there that in the equation it is plus over there, but down over there we have taken it as negative over here. Negative over here. This negative is because of this negative temperature which is over there. Similarly, volume of at minus 273, then the equation becomes as V naught minus V naught 2 by 273. Now suppose we are decreasing the temperature continuously and we get a temperature of minus 273, then volume of an ideal gas at minus 273 degrees centigrade would be equal to V naught minus V naught 273 by 273. If you just take this 273 by 273, it is cancelled out and we get 1. That is, the equation becomes as V naught minus V naught. And V naught minus V naught means what? That it is equal to 0. 0 basically means that ideal gas doesn't exist at that temperature. The substance, whatever would be present, either it will change to its other state, that is, it can be in the liquid state or it can even solidify over there, depending upon what type of gas are we taking. So as such, at minus 273 degrees centigrade, all the gases, whatever would be over there, ideal gases, they will not exist and the volume will become equal to 0. This can also be explained with the help of the graph over there. If you just see a graph between volume and temperature, we can see that temperature is along x-axis and volume is along y-axis. If you just see that we have 0 degree centigrade, then it is 100, 200 and 300 over there and so on. Moving down over there, if you just see that at 0 degrees centigrade, a certain volume is present over there. But if we extend this or extrapolate this line over there or these values over there, we can just see that we are extending it and we are showing it by a dotted line. This dotted line basically means that there must be some changes which are occurring in the gaseous state. Definitely we know that when gases come closer to each other, they change their state from the gaseous to the liquid state, and similarly from the liquid to the solid state. So if we are just extrapolating this line over there, a temperature comes at minus 273, where the volume of the gas becomes equal to 0. That is, as such, the gas which is present doesn't exist. They can ask you in exams related to this temperature, that at what temperature, in your objectives they can ask, or even in your short questions they can ask that at what temperature gases does not exist, so this is a temperature. Or they can ask you that gases convert to any other state over there, and what is that temperature. So all this is very important over there. Then there's an example over there, 4.6. If 50 centimeter cube of a gas in a syringe at 15 degrees centigrade is heated to 50 degrees centigrade, and the piston of the syringe is allowed to move outwards against constant atmospheric pressure, calculate the new volume of the hot gas. It means that we have two temperatures given to us and we have only one volume, the other volume we have to calculate. If you remember in the first lecture, we have discussed that whatever the temperature in centigrade would be over there, it is must to convert it into Kelvin temperature. That is, we have to add 273 to it, so that whatever conditions are over there, they may be applicable to all those things whatever are present in that container over there. So if we just take V1 is equal to 50 centimeter cube, and V2 we have to calculate. T1 is 15 degrees centigrade, to which we have added 273 and it becomes as 288. Similarly to 50 degrees, we have added 273 and it becomes as 323. So by applying V1 by T1 is equal to V2 by T2, and V2 becomes equal to V1 by T1 and T2, we get the value as 56 centimeter cube. Now again, important thing to remember is the units over there. Simply writing the value doesn't give you the full marks. So for each mark, you have to put in effort. So remember that you have to put in all the units over there. Next is the example 4.7. At 17 degrees centigrade, a sample of hydrogen gas occupies 125 centimeter cube. What would be the volume at 100 degrees centigrade? Again, the same equation will be used over there, and the same they have asked about the volume over there. So V1 by T1 is equal to V2 by T2, and we have to calculate V2, and it is V1 by T1 into T2. Putting in all the values over there, we get as 160 centimeter cube. So up till now, we have studied three laws: Charles' law, Boyle's law, Gale-Lussac law. Next comes as Avogadro's law. Girls, remember that whatever thing you are learning, do relate it to the previous lectures or to whatever you have studied previously, so that the previous knowledge becomes a part of the new one and the previous is revised again and again. Avogadro's law helps us, this word really helps us, that it must be related to something related to Avogadro's number. And when we talk about Avogadro's number, it is must that we are talking about certain moles over there. So whenever Avogadro's law or Avogadro's number is related, we are talking about the moles in terms of moles also. So what is Avogadro's law? The given volume of any gas must contain same number of independent particles, keeping temperature and pressure constant. So the equation is V is directly proportional to N. And what is N? It is the number of moles whatever are present over there. And when we are taking pressure and temperature as constant K, 1 mole of a particle, which is Na, represented as Na, which is the Avogadro's number, it is equal to 6.02 into 10 raised to power 23 particles. Now we are talking about particles. What are these particles? Particles can be any atom or it can be molecule. That means we are talking about the gas atoms or the molecules over there. That means it can be helium gas, it can be oxygen molecules over there, anything like that. So 1 mole of any gas will occupy a fixed volume. This is very important objective over there. They can ask you that what is the fixed volume. They can ask you in different values can be given to you. So it is that the value which is over there, fixed volume, is 22.414 decimeter cube at STP. And STP, we will discuss it later on over there, standard temperature and pressure. This volume which is over there, that is 6.02 into 10 raised to power 23 particles, will occupy, when it is 1 mole, 22.414 decimeter cube. And this volume is also known as molar volume. In your exams, they can ask you that what is molar volume, or they can ask you that explain about molar volume, or which law is related to molar volume. Different questions can be asked related to same one topic, girls. So don't restrict yourself to only 1 or 2 questions over there. Make sure that you are familiar with all those things whatever are related to in that topic over there, so that you can answer each and every question over there. Next is the significance of Avogadro's law. That what is the purpose of Avogadro's law, or where is it applied over there? With the help of this law, we can calculate. What things can we calculate? Number of particles in any given volume over there. Any volume can be given, but we can calculate the number of particles present in that volume over there. Similarly, we can calculate, second is, we can calculate mass of any given mass of any gas at a given volume over there. That means any mass can be calculated of that gas present over there. Now for this, we can suppose an example over there, that we have to calculate the number of particles and the mass of hydrogen gas present in 1 decimeter cube. Over here, I've written it as 1 decimeter cube. It can be any volume over there. So don't restrict yourself to only that example which we are discussing, or only that one question which we are doing. Relate it to any other thing, and you can do it, all those questions then easily if it comes in exams over there. Mostly these type of questions comes in your objectives over there, or in your short questions. And your short questions are of 3 marks. So for those 3 marks, you have to write all the steps over there, all the values, all the formulas, all the units over there. So let's do them separately. That what are they? Number of particles, if we have to calculate, we know that in 22.414 decimeter cube of any gas, how many molecules are present in it? It is fixed over there. That is Avogadro's number. 6.02 into 10 raised to power 23 molecules are present. But in 1 decimeter cube, as in our question, they have asked that we have to calculate for 1 decimeter cube. So for 1 decimeter cube, what would be the value for the gas molecules which are present in that volume over there? It is 6.02 into 10 raised to power 23 into 1 and divided by 22.414. So we get the value as 2.68 into 10 raised to power 23 molecules. Irrespective of this thing, we have just taken hydrogen. It can be any gas chlorine, oxygen, fluorine, or HCl, or any gas over there. But make sure that the gas, whatever is over there, is having the molar volume present in it. Next is mass of the gas, which we have to calculate. Now, every gas will have its own mass or weight over there. Hydrogen, which is over here, which we have taken the example, has a mass of 2.016 grams. Mostly, we take it as 2 over there. But it is much better that if you just take it as 2.016 grams so that your answer becomes accurate over there. So, if we have 22.414 decimeter cube of hydrogen gas and its weight is 2.016 grams, so 1 decimeter cube of hydrogen will weigh as 2.016 into 1 by 22.414, and our mass becomes equal to 0.09 grams over there. Now, all these gases, we are talking about gases, so it can be any gas over there. Now, important thing which you have to remember is this: different gases will have different masses, but their molar masses and number of particles would be same. This is very important to remember. This can be asked in your objectives over there too, that different gases will have same mass, different mass, equal mass, something related to that. So you have to remember that different gases will have different masses. But what thing is constant over there? Their molar masses. Molar masses means that in 1 mole, definitely that will be fixed over there. Similarly, number of particles will also be fixed. Suppose we take examples. We have just discussed 3 examples over here. That is 1 mole of nitrogen. Nitrogen gas, which is present over there, has a mass of 28 grams. At STP, will have a molar volume, that is 22.4 decimeter cube, and the particles which are present would be 6.02 into 10 raised to power 23 molecules. Similarly, 1 mole of oxygen gas, that is 32 grams, at their STP will have a molar volume of 22.4 decimeter cube and will have the same number of particles or the molecules, that is 6.02 to 10 raised to power 23 molecules. Similarly, if we take carbon dioxide, 1 mole of carbon dioxide, now again its mass is different, that is 44 grams, but its molar volume which is over there is fixed, that is 22.4 decimeter cube. Similarly, its number of particles or molecules is also fixed, that is 6.02 into 10 raised to power 23 molecules. So important thing in this is to remember that what things are changing and what things are fixed over there. Then there is an example over there in your book that you have to calculate number of molecules, and in that molecule, whatever is over there, how many atoms are also present. So 2 things you have to calculate in the first part. Similarly, number of moles and volume in decimeter cube of 10 grams of ammonia at STP. Girls, remember that sometimes in exams, they don't give these molar masses over there. Maybe they give, so it's much better to remember for the common elements over there or for the common gases over there, such as for nitrogen, it is 14 and hydrogen is 1. So there are 3 hydrogen atoms, so total molar mass of ammonia becomes equal to 17. Now for the solution, if we just take it as mass is given to us, which is 10 grams, and molar mass, we know that it is 17 AMU. So first of all, we have to calculate number of molecules. So for calculating the number of molecules, we have a formula. You must have studied this in your first chapter, that for calculating the number of molecules or atoms or particles, what thing is used? That mass by molar mass into Avogadro's number. So mass is 10 by 17 into 6.02 into 10 raised to power 23. So how many molecules would be present in 10 grams of ammonia? They are 3.54 into 10 raised to power 23 molecules. From these molecules, we have to calculate that how many atoms are present. We know that in one ammonia NH3 molecule, how many atoms are present? 1 that of nitrogen and 3 that of hydrogen. So total how many atoms are present in ammonia? 4 atoms are present in one molecule of ammonia. So if we have to calculate the number of atoms present in these molecules which we have calculated, so the equation which will be used will be number of molecules into atomicity. That means how many atoms are present in that one molecule. So we have multiplied it with 4 and our answer becomes equal to 14.16 into 10 raised to power 23 atoms. Next, which we have to calculate is number of moles. Number of moles, that is N, small n, is equal to mass by molar mass. So our answer comes to be equal to 0.588 moles. Third part which is over there in the question which we have to calculate is volume in decimeter cube. Now we know that molar mass, which is for ammonia, is 17 gram or 1 mole. Molar mass occupies a volume, a fixed molar volume, that is 22.414 decimeter cube. So 10 grams will occupy how much? 22.414 into 10 by 17, and our answer comes to be 13.18 decimeter cube. So in this way we have calculated all the 3 parts which are over there. Next topic which is over there is related to ideal gas equation. We are continuously using the term ideal gas and ideal gas. What is meant by this ideal gas? Ideal gas, they have given it that it is a hypothetical gas in which the molecules have 0 volume, and another property which is over there is in which there are no intermolecular forces, and the last is which obeys gas laws. That is Boyle's law, Charles' law, main are these two, as well as Gay-Lussac law. All these laws at all temperature and pressure. So what is an ideal gas? It is a hypothetical gas in which the volume of the molecule is 0 and no intermolecular forces are present, as well as they obey all the gas laws at all temperature and pressure. Now this next statement which is over there is very important. You have to mark it, and it mostly comes in your objectives over there, that gases behave ideally at dash temperature and dash pressure. They can give you different options over there. Low and combination of low and high, high and low, low and low, high and high. So you have to be very careful that temperature when it is very high and pressure is very low. If you just imagine that when we have a gas kept in a container, just assume that we have a closed box with us and we are increasing, and we have gas particles present in it. Continuously we are increasing the temperature. Whatever gas particles are present, the intermolecular forces which are present between them, definitely they will collide with each other. They will move away because temperature is very high. But pressure when is very low, then the gas will behave ideally. So it means that what are the conditions? That at high temperature and low pressure, whatever the gas would be over there, it will behave as an ideal gas. Now, talking about the ideal gas equation, that how can we derive it? Basically, it is a combination of all the gas laws which we have just studied. That is Charles' law, Boyle's law, and Avogadro's law. If you just see the Charles' law, it is related to volume is directly proportional to temperature. And what things are kept constant? pressure and number of moles are kept constant. While in Boyle's law, again, volume is inversely proportional to pressure over there. While over here, what things are kept constant? Temperature and number of moles. Third law, which is over there, is Avogadro's law, in which again we have volume, which is directly proportional to number of moles. And what thing is kept constant? Pressure and temperature is kept constant over there. If we just see all these three equations, we can see that volume, volume and volume. Basically, it is the relationship of volume. As in gases, volume is very important. So, volume has different relationship with temperature, pressure and number of moles over there. If we just combine these three equations, that is combining equation 1, 2 and 3, what do we get? We just take it as V is directly proportional to N, directly proportional to temperature, but inversely proportional to pressure. So our equation becomes as V is directly proportional to NT by P over there. Now taking this P up to the other side, we get as PV is directly proportional to NT. Removing this proportionality, we can say that we have introduced a constant over there. So PV is equal to RNT, and this R which is over there, mostly we use it as PV is equal to nRT equation over there. We have just rearranged this upper equation and taken it as PV is equal to nRT. So what is this R? R is gas constant. And suppose we say that the number of moles which we are taking is 1. So PV is equal to RT, or we can even say that PV by T is equal to a constant over there. So if we have 2, 3, whatever the number of gas molecules or particles or different gases are over there, we can have their different pressure, different volume, different temperature. So we can have an equation as P1 V1 by T1 is equal to P2 V2 by T2. In this way, we can have different questions related to this equation, and we can solve any of the part which is not given, while all the others are given to us, different values are given to us, we can solve the unknown. Previously, we have just discussed that STP. Over there, I told you that we will discuss it later on. Now, its turn is over here. That standard temperature and pressure. Sometimes in your questions, they will not write the temperature and they will not give you the values over there for pressure also. They will just simply write that at STP. So what do you have to do is you have to learn them, that what would be the standard temperature and what would be the standard pressure which is used in that question over there. So standard conditions taken for calculations if temperature and pressure are not given, and what are they? That it is 0 degrees centigrade. I've told you earlier too that you have to convert the centigrade to Kelvin. So to this 0 we have added 273 and it becomes as 273 Kelvin. Or it can be 1 atmosphere which is equal to 760 torrs. So it means that if temperature and pressure is not given as a standard over there, we have to use these two values over there. Now there is a question. Example 4.9, a certain mass of gas occupies 1000 centimeter cube at 57 degrees centigrade and 726 millimeter of mercury. What will be the volume at STP? Now just see over here, they have written STP. They have not mentioned that what is the temperature and what is the pressure which we take standard over there. So you have to learn this thing, that temperature which is over there is 273 Kelvin and pressure which is over there. Now it really depends that what other unit is over there in your question over there. If the other part which is over there for the pressure is atmosphere, then you have to use 1 atmosphere. And if it is torrs, you have to use torrs over there. And if it is in millimeter of mercury, you have to use millimeter of mercury over there. So the solution is that P1 is equal to 726 millimeter of mercury, while P2 is not given. They have written it as STP, standard temperature and pressure. So standard pressure which is taken is 760 millimeter of mercury. T1 is given to us that it is 57 degrees centigrade, and we have converted it into Kelvin, and it comes to be 330 Kelvins. And T2, we know that when standard temperature is 273 Kelvins. V1 is given that it is 1000 centimeter cube. V2 we have to calculate. So using this equation, P1 V1 by T1 is equal to P2 V2 by T2. And we have to basically calculate V2. So the equation becomes as P1 V1 by T1 into T2 by P2 over there. So the answer comes as 790 centimeter cube. Now is the significance of the journal gas equation, or they can ask you that this is one of the short questions, an important short question from your exam point of view, that explain the importance of journal gas equation, or what is the significance of journal gas equation. Both the things are same, so they can ask you importance or significance. Now, what is it that it can help us to determine? First is the molecular mass. Now, how can we calculate molecular mass from this ideal gas equation, which is PV is equal to nRT? And what is N, small n? It is number of moles. And how do we calculate number of moles? That we write mass or weight of the gas by its molecular mass or molar mass. So, N is equal to capital W by capital M over there. Now, putting this equation, that is value of N, in the upper this equation, first equation, that is journal gas equation, PV is equal to nRT, this equation, taking this N value and putting it in over here, what do we get? We get the value as PV is equal to W RT by M. Taking this M up over there on the other side, we get as PMV is equal to WRT, or leaving M, which is molecular mass, is equal to WRT by PV. So it means by the help of this equation, capital M, when weight of that gas is given, temperature is given, pressure is given, and volume is given, we can calculate the molecular mass. So ideal gas equation helps us in calculating the molecular mass. Now, second is to calculate its density. How can we calculate the density? Is by the help of this equation. Now, girls, one thing more, they can ask you that instead of saying that give the significance or give the importance of ideal gas equation, they can ask you that in what ways other than journal gas equation can we calculate the other things from this ideal gas equation. So you have to explain them relating to their molecular mass as well as relating to the density of the gas. Now, what is density of the gas? PV is equal to nRT. Now, again over here, we have already studied in the previous slide that N is equal to capital W by capital M. Putting the value, so it becomes as PV is equal to WRT by M. Now, rearranging it in such a way that we make an equation which is helpful to us for calculating the density. And we know that what is density? Density is mass or weight by volume. So if we just take this volume down over there and take this molecular mass up over there, we get the equation as that PV is equal to dRT. Now, from where is this D coming? It is coming from the equation which is PM is equal to dRT, that is D is equal to PM by RT. So what is the significance or importance over there? That ideal gas equation is helpful to us in calculating the molecular mass as well as the density of the gas over there. I hope so that up till here all the things are very clear, as they are very easy. Now for calculating the values over there or the units over there, numerical value and different units of ideal gas constant R. This topic is also very important because sometimes in your questions they don't write the value of R. They assume that you must be knowing all these things. So whatever these values are over there or the units are over there are really very important. If we just take the equation as PV is equal to nRT, taking R to one side and taking all the other things to the other side, we get as R is equal to PV by NT. Now putting the all these values as well as units in this equation and taking it as molar volume and STP. So R becomes equal to, P is definitely standard pressure is 1 atmosphere, or it can be 760 torrs, or it can be 760 millimeter of mercury, but it depends upon the units which we are taking. So over here we are taking the units as atmosphere. So 1 atmosphere into 22.414 decimeter cube divided by what is N over there, 1 mole, and temperature, standard temperature which we are taking is 273 Kelvin. Calculating all this, it becomes equal to 0.0821 decimeter cube into atmosphere per mole per Kelvin. Girls, this value is very important in so many questions, not only in this chapter but chapters ahead. You will be using the same R value over there. So you have to remember all these R values as such. If in certain questions atmosphere pressure may be given, or it may be torrs, it may be any other value of pressure given over there. So depending upon what type of units are over there, we have to use the same unit and the value for R over there. Now for in SI units, what is R equal to? It would be equal to 101325 Newton per meter square into 0.022414 decimeter cube by 1 mole into 273 Kelvins over there. So our answer becomes equal to 8.314 Newton per meter per mole per Kelvin over there, or it is 8.314 joule, because Newton into meter becomes equal to 1 joule over there, per mole and per Kelvin over there. I hope so up till here all the things are clear, and the things which you have to learn doesn't mean that you will just simply learn. You will write them again and again, and only then you can remember all these things. Now different units are given over there with different values. You can just see that if pressure is measured in millimeter of mercury or in torrs and volume in centimeter cube, then all these values changes. That is, R can be equal to 0.0821 decimeter cube into atmosphere per mole per Kelvin, or it can be 0.0821 decimeter cube into 760 millimeter of mercury per mole per Kelvin, or it can also be 62.4 decimeter cube millimeter of mercury per mole per Kelvin, or it can be 62.4 decimeter cube torrs per mole per Kelvin, as millimeter of mercury and torrs are equal to each other. So we have just put a new unit over here. Value remains the same. Or it can be even equal to 62.4 into 1000 centimeter cube. That means we have changed this decimeter cube to 1000 centimeter cube torrs per mole per Kelvin, or we have taken it as 100 centimeter cube torrs per mole per Kelvin. So the answer comes to be 62400 centimeter cube torr per mole per Kelvin. All these are very important units which you have to remember. Next is example 4.10. In this, calculate the average molar mass of air at sea level and 0 degrees centigrade if the density of air is 1.29 kilograms per meter cube. So the answer is for this is that we what things are given to us. Density is given to us. R value is not given. We have to remember it. Just now I told you that R values won't be given. You have to remember all those R values over there. Temperature is given as 0 degrees centigrade. We have converted it over there. Now molar volume is a molar mass of the air. We have to calculate the average molar mass. So P, which is used over here, because R value which we are taking is in Newton meter. So P value, pressure value which we'll be using is 101325 Newton per meter square. So capital M, or molecular mass or molar mass, will be equal to dRT by P, and putting all these values, it comes equal to 0.0289 kilograms per mole. So this equation which is used over here, if you remember, we have studied it in significance over there of ideal gas. Then next example is over there, 4.11. A certain gas occupies a volume of 6 decimeter cube under a pressure of 720 millimeter of mercury at 25 degrees centigrade. What volume will this gas occupy under standard conditions of temperature and pressure? So it means that so many values related to temperature, related to volume, related to pressure are given. So the solution will be that we'll use the equation P1 V1 by T1 over there. So P1 is given to us as 720 millimeter of mercury, but other is that they have written it as STP. So standard pressure which is over there, 760 millimeter of mercury. T1 is given to us which is 25. Other temperature is not given. It is STP. So temperature becomes equal to 273 kelvins. While V1 is given to us as 6 decimeter cube, and V2 we have to calculate. So we have used the equation P1 V1 by T1 is equal to P2 V2 by T2, and V2 becomes equal to P1 V1 into T2 by T1 into P2. So V2 becomes equal to, what is the answer over there? It is 5.2 decimeter cube. Next, there is another example. Example 4.12. 4 grams of ammonia, methane, not ammonia, CH4 is methane. 4 grams of methane at 27 degrees centigrade and a pressure of 2.5 atmosphere occupy a volume of 2.46 decimeter cube. Calculate the value of R. Now we have to calculate the value of R when what things are given to us? 4 grams. It means mass is given of methane. So it means gas which is given to us. We should be knowing its molecular mass also. Temperature is given. Pressure is given. Volume is given. So mass of the gas which is over there is 4 grams. Temperature is 27 centigrade, which we have converted it into Kelvin as 300 Kelvin. Methane gas, carbon and hydrogen is over there. Carbon is 12 and atomic mass of carbon is 12 and hydrogen is 1, but 4 are over there. So 12 plus 4 becomes equal to 16. P is given to us, which is 2.5, and V is also given to us, which is 2.46 decimeter cube. Taking the journal gas equation, PV is equal to nRT, and we have to calculate R. So R is equal to PV by NT over there. Now, N as such is not given that number of moles. So mass is given, molecular mass we know, we can put the value over there and separately either calculate it, or we can put it directly in this equation and calculate it over there. Number of moles is equal to mass by molar mass, which is 4 by 16. So putting it in this equation, R is equal to all these values, and our answer comes as R is equal to 0.082 decimeter cube atmosphere per mole per Kelvin over there. Next is example 4.13. Find the density of ammonia gas at 100 degrees centigrade when confined by a pressure of 1600 millimeter of mercury. Temperature is given 100 degrees. So we have converted it into degrees centigrade to Kelvin over there. They are saying that what gas is over there? Ammonia. Now sometimes in your exams, they don't give the formulas. They just write it simply the name of that gas. So you have to remember the formulas also. Ammonia is NH3. So molecular mass of ammonia is 17 grams per mole. Pressure is given to us, and the pressure which is given is in millimeter of mercury over there. So we have just converted it into atmosphere by dividing it by 760. So in atmosphere, the answer comes to be 2.105, and R value which we are using is 0.082 decimeter cube atmosphere per mole per Kelvin. So D, which is to be calculated, the equation which is used over there is PM is equal to DRT and D is equal to PM by RT. Putting the value, we get it and the density as 1.169 grams per decimeter cube. There is another example, 4.14. At 27 degrees centigrade, a volume of 500 centimeter cube of hydrogen gas measured under a pressure of 400 millimeter of mercury and 1000 centimeter cube of nitrogen measured under a pressure of 600 millimeter of mercury are introduced into an evacuated 2 decimeter cube flask. Calculate the resulting pressure. It means that we have a container, a flask, and the volume of that flask is 2 decimeter cube. Separately, hydrogen gas is introduced in it, and that hydrogen gas which we are introducing has a pressure of 400 millimeter and its volume is 500 centimeter cube, and the temperature which is over there for hydrogen gas is 27 degrees centigrade. In the same flask, we are also introducing nitrogen gas. Now the pressure for nitrogen gas is 600 millimeter is introduced over there. So we have to calculate the total pressure which both the gases will be exerting. Definitely we just can't calculate it together over there. First of all, we will calculate both the pressures separately for both the gases, and at the end we will add up both the pressures which will give us the total pressure or the resulting pressure, whatever will be over there. So first of all, we'll calculate the pressure for hydrogen gas. So for hydrogen, it is P1 is equal to 400 millimeter of mercury. P2 is to be calculated, while V1 is 500 centimeter cube. We have to convert it into decimeter cube, so we have divided it by 1000. So it becomes equal to 0.5 decimeter cube, while V2 is equal to 2 decimeter cube. Putting it in this P1, V1 is equal to P2, V2, and P2 is equal to P1, V1 by V2. We get the value as 100 millimeter of the pressure for hydrogen gas. Similarly, for nitrogen gas, we have to use the same equation, but the values will be different. So the values are that P1 over here is 600 millimeter. P2 we have to calculate. V1 is given, which is 1000 centimeter. Again, we have to convert it into decimeter cube. So we have to divide it by again 1000, and it becomes equal to 1 decimeter cube. While V2, which is over there, is 2 decimeter cube. So it is P1 V1 is equal to P2 V2, and P2 is equal to P1 V1 by V2. Now our P2 becomes equal to 300 millimeter of the pressure which this gas, nitrogen gas, is exerting in this 2 decimeter cube flask over there. These two separate pressures are separately for both the gases, but as they are confined in one flask, so when we combine both the pressures, this will be the total pressure or the resulting pressure which the gases will be exerting. That is, total pressure is equal to pressure of hydrogen gas plus pressure of nitrogen gas, which becomes equal to 400 millimeter of mercury. Next is example 4.15. Find the total pressure exerted by 2 grams of ethane and 3 grams of carbon dioxide contained in a 5 decimeter cube vessel at 50 degrees centigrade. This example is just similar to that of the previous one, which we have just done it now. Only the change are the values or the gases are changed over there. The method would be same, that we will first separately calculate the pressures for both the gases, that is ethane and carbon dioxide, and at the end we will add both the pressures. So first of all, we should just see that we have to take for carbon dioxide, volume which is over there is 5 decimeter cube, temperature is 50 degrees centigrade, so we have to convert it into Kelvin, and it is 323 Kelvin. Our value, we have to learn it, and it is 0.082 decimeter cube atmosphere per Kelvin per mole, and it is N is equal to, or the number of moles is mass by molar mass, which is 3 by 44, and we get as pressure as the value of for the carbon dioxide is that PV is equal to nRT, and pressure for carbon dioxide is equal to nRT by V. Putting the value, we get pressure as 0.361 atmosphere. Next is for ethane, that is C2H6. Volume is given, temperature is over there, R value, N we have to calculate, that is mass by molar mass. Mass is, they have given is 2. Molar mass we have to calculate, that it is C2H6. That is 12 plus 12 plus 6 is equal to 30. So pressure by the same equation, PV is equal to nRT, and pressure for ethane we have calculated it separately, that is it becomes equal to 0.355 atmosphere. Now adding both these pressures, we will get the total pressure, that is total pressure is equal to pressure for carbon dioxide plus pressure of ethane. So adding both of them, we get the value as 0.714 atmosphere. Now there are some self-check questions. All these questions are just related to all these examples, whatever we have done. You have to put in certain values, certain formulas over there, and you can do it very easily. I hope so that this self-check question all of you will do and then send it. Then we will just check it whether you have done it correctly or not. And this is all related to this topic over there. I hope so everything is clear. But if you have any problems over there, you can just ask. Okay, girls, Khuda Hafiz.